Hey there guys, Portal Master here, and you're watching the 10th anniversary of Skylanders Spyro's Adventures celebration video. This collaboration would not have been possible if not for the massive amount of work that got put in by various YouTubers such as Skylandebi, Skylanders Eon, and the Kingdom Wayfinder. In order to make this video, we gathered over 24 Skytubers from yesteryear to today to answer a 3-part questionnaire about Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. The 3-part questionnaire was very simple. How did you first hear about Skylanders Spyro's Adventure? What got you into the game? What is your favorite character from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure? And finally, what is your favorite memory from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure? Before we go any further in this video, I just wanted to extend an invitation to the Skylanders Portal Masters United Discord server. Over there, you'll find many of the Skytubers that were featured in today's video, and you'll also find a warm and welcoming community to discuss Skylanders and the impact that it's had on all of our lives. But that is all I have for you guys right now, so before we get into any further into this video, I'm going to pass it on to the other event organizers. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to check out that Discord server linked down in the description below. See you guys!
Hello everybody, I'm Skylanders Eon.
And I am Pirate Dad.
And we're here in front of Toys for Bob headquarters celebrating the 10th anniversary of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure.
Yes.
So, today we're just gonna start off by talking about our favorite characters from the game, you know. The things that got us into it, the things that pulled us in, the characters that are so memorable. And
all that good stuff.
I have to say, Warnado and Slam Bam are my top 2 from Spyro's Adventure, without a doubt.
For me, that actually changes quite a bit over time. At the moment, it's Ghost Roaster, probably Flame Slinger, and I guess Trigger Happy. Those would be my top 3 at the moment, but like in a month it'd probably be different. But yeah,
okay.
At the moment, I'd say.
So next up, how did you get introduced to Spyro's Adventure? So for me, my friend wouldn't stop nagging me about it, and I finally caved, and I'm so glad I did.
Alright, and then I actually started in Skylanders Giants. That's my introduction to the series, but later on in Swap Force is when I actually got the Spyro's Adventure Starter Pack. That's when I first got the game and started playing it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I got it. I would say, yeah. And
then
what do we got next?
Our favorite memory is next, and I have to say for me, just finding Camo and Warnado in store after so long of hunting, it felt so nice to have a nearly complete set at the time, and I'm so glad that the characters were as fun as they were.
For me, it's really tough to say, because there are some good memories that I have with it, but also there's just not many memories in general. We'll say one of my most favorite memories was finding a boomer at Target during Wave 4 of Trap Team, which was really weird. Either that, or probably the real answer for me would be just my introduction to the game as a whole. Like, you know, as I said, started in Swap Force, but of course fell in love with the game instantly, just like the others, and like from there, like it just deepened and expanded my appreciation for the game.
Yeah, so definitely want to give a huge thank you to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, just for all the love and passion that you guys put into the franchise.
Yes, thank
you. It really means a lot. It literally changed my goal in life. I'm studying game design because of the Skylanders franchise, so just huge thank you, and hope to see something soon.
Good morning, good night, good whatever time of day it is to you folks. My name is Skylandebi, and today I am here with a bunch of other content creators to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, along with 10 years of the franchise as a whole. I recall that the first time I heard about the franchise was in the summer of 2011, not long after the game was initially announced. I was really hooked because the concept of bringing your action figures to life inside of a video game was just a really compelling concept to me, as I had recently gotten into video games at the time. When Christmas 2011 came along a few months after the game came out, my grandmother got me the starter set for the game on Nintendo 3DS, and ever since, I've been hooked. Let's move on to some of my favorite characters from Spyro's Adventure. Now, obviously, one of my favorites has to be Spyro the Dragon himself. He went on to introduce me to the greater Spyro franchise as a whole, which also became a favorite of mine. However, let's keep things spicy and interesting for my answers. Stealth Elf, Igniter, and Spyro were the three 3DS starter pack characters, and the former two have always been favorites of mine. Stealth Elf's got an incredibly high attack and speed stat in the game, plus she also has auto heal, which is an incredibly cool thing. Plus, she's just an awesome ninja. How's that not cool? Igniter's got an incredibly high attack stat, and he's just awesome. He's this flaming fire guy with a big fire sword. That's pretty freaking cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to play as him? A few days after I got the 3DS starter pack, I ended up getting Darklight Crypt expansion set, which came with the Ghost Roaster character. He's always been a favorite of mine. He's got one of the creepier designs out of the characters, and he's got an odd, quirky personality. To move on to the final topic today, I'd like to discuss a favorite memory of mine from the franchise. Back in 2012, when the Skylanders figures were still coming out, I had best friends named James and Sophia. They were twins. My father and their father were also friends, and we would always, collaborate and try and help each other to finish our collections. We actually did a couple trades one time in order to make sure that we got characters we didn't have. Around May 2012, we were looking for the final characters that we needed, the fifth wave of characters to come out. Their dad was a police officer, and he was on the night shift. He was at a shopping mall on his break and decided to check into their Toys R Us to see if they had the final characters we needed. It was one of those mini Toys R Us's, so they had a cash register display with a huge wall of Skylanders figures behind them as they were in popular demand. Lo and behold, he found the final wave right behind them, which consisted of the Whamshell single pack along with the Dragon's Peak expansion pack. This expansion came with the Sunburn character, along with the Dragon's Peak expansion, the Winged Boot item, and the Sparks the Dragonfly item. So, at like 1, 2 in the morning, he ends up calling my father and says, "Hey, insert name, you gotta get down here. They've got the last characters." So, me and my father, on a school night, drove down to this shopping mall to get the final wave of characters that we needed. Lo and behold, we ended up getting them, and that finished off our collection. I'd like to give my sincerest thanks to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for bringing the toys to life.
Hey there guys, this is the Kingdom Wayfinder, and I'm going to now be talking about my experience with Spyro's Adventure and Skylanders as a whole, mainly how it started. So for me, Christmas 2011, easily most anticipated title was Spyro's Adventure, and the thing is, like, 2011 was such a banger year for video games. All you teenagers who were in 2011, like myself, who are now pretty much young adults at this point, if you're in your 20s like myself, you know how 2011 was. 2011 straight up brought the heat with video games. You had Uncharted 3, you had Skyrim, you had Dark Souls, Spyro's Adventure, and so on and so forth. So many good games came out in 2011. It was honestly a banger year. But Spyro's Adventure was my most anticipated game to play, solely because of the sheer fact of its Toys to Life aspect. It was a new thing. We were like, whoa. Like, nobody saw this coming. Like, nobody would have thought this, right? It was so cool. So, how I heard about Spyro's Adventure was because of, basically, the TV ads, the commercials that were playing. And it was it was so cool. Like, it was just it was the coolest thing to see. Putting a character on the portal, slamming that character on the portal. Let me tell you, when I first did that, it was magic. I don't know how to say it, but going into putting characters on the portal, some of my favorites from Spyro's Adventure, because the classic roster, they're classics. At the end of the day, they're respectful. They're basic as heck now compared to all the other characters, but they're classics, and they're classics to be appreciated in the sense, because if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have all the other amazing characters throughout the series. And some of my favorites, honestly, like Voodoo was a great character, Drobot's pretty cool. But my personal favorites, if you had to ask me, definitely it came down to like Trigger Happy, Dino Rank, and definitely Boomer. Boomer was a great character, and Terrafin, they were like really good characters. Those are just some of my favorites. So there's a lot from Spyro's Adventure I love, like even Spyro, Eruptor, great characters. Stealth Elf was broken. USSA players know what I'm talking about. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. And you know, it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? And now going into the next little bit, I just want to really honestly give a huge thanks to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox. You know, without you guys, the franchise, you know, wouldn't be what it is, especially today. It's a really great series. While yes, it may be inactive and it is in mobile territory, unfortunately, as sucky as that is. You know, we're here to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Skylanders. You know, it's mind-boggling. Like, you know, guys, seriously, Paul Ritchie, everyone, the Bala brothers, even though you're not part of VV anymore, and VV's kind of like, you know, a Blizzard studio now, like, Beanox, everyone, seriously, thank you for this franchise. It's honestly awesome. And thank you, Toys for Bob, especially for creating it and for talking about Skylanders this month. And thank you for having the balls to stick to your guns and throw it in Spyro and Crash fans' faces that you will celebrate this anniversary. Hell yeah, let's go. That's what I like to see. So a round of applause to Toys for Bob for that. They already know how it is. Let's go. Happy anniversary. Happy 10th anniversary to Skylanders. And that's it. I will see you guys all eventually in the next one.
Spyro's Adventure is turning 10 years old, so thinking about that alone blows my mind away. I was first introduced to the game through the adverts shown on TV, and in 2011, 10-year-old me loved bringing my imagination to life through my toys, and I also loved exploring the imagination of others as I had started to fall in love with video games. Seeing something advertised on TV that combined both of these passions really spoke to me personally, and I became really excited by the idea of being able to collect these toys, place them on a portable power, and use them in the game. I mean, the idea was revolutionary, and bringing my toys to life just felt magical. Now, my favourite character is Igniter, ironically the character from the entire cast that I got last when I struck out lucky and got a cheap deal for the 3DS starter pack of the game, sealed and everything. Now, I admire the idea of Medieval Knights, and Igniter replicates that personality quite perfectly. On top of that, Igniter's moveset is just incredibly overpowered, and his design to top it all off is near perfection. I mean, we're talking about an enchanted suit of armor which is on fire, for Pete's sake. How could you not want to helm such a powerful looking figurine that's both cool and intimidating? I love the attention to detail. But now we get to move on to my favourite memory of Spyro's Adventure, which of course ties back to my first playthrough of the game. Of course, this playthrough wouldn't be possible without the way in which I got the game in the first place. For my Christmas list, I highlighted how much I wanted Spyro's Adventure for Christmas. Once Christmas Day rolled around, it's needless to say that I was fairly disappointed when my parents hadn't bought the starter pack for Spyro's Adventure for me. But fortunately, my grandparents soon showed up with a very specific sized present. I tore open the wrapping and revealed the Spyro's Adventure starter pack for Nintendo Wii. My excitement in this moment was unparalleled. I was incredibly ecstatic and most certainly squealing internally. This led to me being able to play the entire game alongside my dad in co-op. Together we bonded over this shared experience and grew closer together, and this is all because of Spyro's Adventure, so I am beyond incredibly grateful for it being able to further the bond I had with my dad. And speaking of things I'm incredibly grateful for, I want to finish by thanking the developers over at Toys for Bob for creating this opportunity when pouring so much passion and talent into creating Skylanders. They managed to make a game so incredibly close to my heart, and words alone can't fully express my gratitude.
Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger. In case you don't know, I am a huge Skylanders fan. In fact, so much so that I've been doing fan animations based on the franchise since December 2011, and I still do to this very day. I was introduced to the game franchise either through this K-Zone magazine or one of the commercials, the one where Eruptor couldn't control his burps.
When I get in there, I'm gonna shoot Eruptor? I can't help it, I just...
I remember getting my hands on the first game, Spyro's Adventure, since October 14th, its UK release date, and my first characters were Spyro, Gilgrunt, Trigger Happy, and Eruptor. And out of all who first appeared in Spyro's Adventure, Trigger Happy is my #1 favorite because of his gun abilities, his goofy personality, and the way he walks. Because he's my most favorite, I use him a lot in my animations. Now, because his voice was a bit high-pitched and it was difficult for me to keep up with that voice to a regular basis, I instead based his voice on his commercial appearance.
Here comes Trigger Happy! In the face! My name is Trigger Happy. No gold, no glory. Those guys are fiend east. What? He's got fins.
Personally, I like Giant's more than Spyro's Adventure, but if I have to pick a favorite moment, it's either when you lure the enemies to an attack, but they end up dead in the water, literally, or when you're pushing a turtle block to instantly defeat an enemy, even the bigger ones. And that's all I have to say, really. Now, a word from these guys. Thank you, Toys for Bob.
Thank you for Curious Visions.
And thank you, Beanox, for bringing us to life.
My introduction to Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was a friend's stream of the Xbox 360 version of the game. I then saw several ads, trailers, and store displays for it. And what drew me in was the combination of a video game with physical figures that interacted with it, which I thought was an awesome concept. And I ended up buying the 3DS and the Wii versions of the game. I love all the characters in the game because they all have their own unique abilities, backstories, and so on. So it's difficult for me to narrow down my favorite characters, but if I had to pick 3 favorites, I would say Drobot, Prism Break, and Dark Spyro. Drobot has a really cool design, easily one of my favorites from the first game. His laser attacks can deal so much damage, especially once he's fully upgraded. Prism Break also has an awesome design, and his attacks with his lasers and crystal summons are really unique. And then with Dark Spyro, I think the black and silver color scheme is just awesome. He's pretty much the same as regular Spyro on the console versions, but I do like how on the 3DS version, he has a completely different moveset than regular Spyro, focusing more on melee attacks. My favorite memory associated with Spyro's Adventure is eventually collecting the figures of all 32 of the standard characters, the 4 legendary Skylanders, and Dark Spyro, who was included with the 3DS starter pack. I remember how cool it was seeing all the characters displayed on a shelf, and then in the game you could see them all displayed in a digital gallery. I want to thank the teams at Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, and any other development studios for bringing Skylanders to life throughout the years. I have fond memories of each game in the series that I played, and here's to the 10th anniversary of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure.
I first discovered this game franchise back in February 2011, during the week of Toy Fair. It was also the year I went under the channel name fans now know me as Crystal Glacier. I found a never-before-seen image that shows a reimagined Spyro and that he was going to be featured in a game called Skylanders. I shared my discovery with the online community soon after. I followed the updates on Toy Fair during the week until the trailer of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was unveiled. I had mixed feelings about it at first, because the Toys to Life gimmick was new to me back then, and Spyro was being involved in this gimmick. I decided to follow and later cover the game, growing more interested when E3 2011 came and as the months went by. As the game got near release, I learned that Skylanders was not an ordinary game. It wasn't just a regular top-down dungeon crawler. It was a new game experience for many, including me. My favorite character is Spyro, but then that favorite character list grew as more Skylanders were revealed. There was Gilgrunt, Whirlwind, Zap, Cinder, Bash, Dinorang, Sunburn, Sonic Boom, Tornado, Drobot, Camo, Stealth Elf. I found myself adoring a bunch of characters and buying them when Skylanders Spyro's Adventure came out and after its release. Perhaps my favorite memory was when I firsthand actually saw my Skylanders enter the game itself, living up to the tagline, "Bring the Skylanders to life." You want to switch Skylanders to another that's in your collection? Just take them off the portal of power and then boom, your next character is in the game. Like magic. Honestly, it really did feel like magic when it happened before my eyes. Before I knew it, I was in for a wild ride, and I enjoyed the years that followed. There were new Skylanders, new gimmicks, new worlds and Skylands, new side characters, obstacles, bosses, villains, etc. It was a wonderful experience. I thank Toys for Bob, Beanox, Vicarious Visions for giving me and many other fans the chance to experience this Toys to Life lovable franchise, and I wish them all the best. And Ultimate Boom!
Hey everyone, Make 3.0 Shine here, and I've loved Skylanders for my entire life, but I remember the first time I played it as a child, I wasn't a big fan of it actually. My dad had just come back from a car boot sale, that's a garage sale for any non-British people watching, and he'd brought home a Skylanders Spyro's Adventure starter pack for the Xbox 360. I booted it up, and I didn't really understand how it worked as I was a dumb stupid child, so I never played it again. Until a day later when I tried it again, and that time it just clicked with me for some reason. It didn't take too long after that for my dad to buy me all the Skylanders from Spyro's Adventure, including characters like the Legendaries, and Dark Spyro, and even the Volcanic Vault. That's not a character, but I'm including it anyway. By far my favourite Skylander, both from Spyro's Adventure and in general, it has to be Chop Chop. I love his design, and just the whole concept of the Archeans, and I love his sword. His gameplay is so fun. My other favourites would be like Drobot and Stealth Elf for the same reasons. Their designs are very cool, their gameplay is very fun. My favourite memory of Spyro's Adventure, I'd have to say, is when I was in Portugal with my cousin. She also grew up with Skylanders, but she never managed to beat Chaos. Since I had brought my Stealth Elf from England, I just went in, beat Chaos with only Stealth Elf, and then told her. The look on her face was priceless on that day, I tell you. Finally, a huge thank you to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for pretty much making my childhood a lot better. I've met so many of my best friends because of Skylanders, and without it, I don't know where I'd be today. Just thinking of how it's 10 years old makes me feel old. I hope that when I move to Portugal, and I spend more time with my family, I can show Skylanders to some of my nephews and stuff, but all I do know is that no matter what, I will keep playing Skylanders for years to come.
What's up guys, it's the Skylander Dude. Even after 10 years, I still vividly remember my first interactions with Skylanders. It was around November, 3rd grade, show and tell. My best friend at the time brought up Spyro, Trigger Happy, and the SSA portal. And just seeing that in general, him saying that you could interact in person, putting the figure on the portal and it showing up playing in the video game was just crazy technology to me. Honestly, it still kind of is, even though you see there's many different variations from many different companies besides Activision and with Skylanders. It's still crazy that that type of video game exists in general. So obviously me as a 3rd grader was super interested and got a hold of the game as quick as I could. Over the next year I began to collect quite a few figures. One of my favorites being Eruptor. I always dominated in battle mode, all against my little 3rd grade friends. I would be the master. They would know, they would bow down to me, the Skylander Dude, and my Eruptor. I loved Eruptor. I still do. He's still one of my top 10 favorite characters of all time, maybe because of how much I liked him back in the day. My favorite memory that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to is taking all your Skylanders, packing them up, and bringing them to your friend's house, playing battle mode with them over at their place. It was really fun, honestly, and I wouldn't trade the experience for anything. I think that really made my elementary years is playing Skylanders at, whether it was my house with friends or at other houses with my figures. It was a great time overall. We had Skylander parties. It was the best.
Hello, Andy from Family Gamer TV in the UK here. So I remember first being introduced to Skylanders Spyro's Adventure on a press trip. I remember being actually a little bit reluctant to go, thinking, what is this new game with toys? Hasn't Spyro had their day? But I did go, and I went out to visit Toys for Bob and met the crew there, and these little toy figures, and just really fell in love with this idea of these toys that remembered your journey with them. So that was certainly something that has stuck with me, and obviously I then carried on and tracked with the series. In terms of favourite characters, I really like Arbo, and that's because I've actually got one of the 3D prints here that they did when Arbo was being created, and this was a bit of a gift from Toys for Bob, and he's had quite a place on my mantelpiece. So I know he's not playable, but I think at one point he was going to be playable, and this is actually one of the 3D prints from Toys for Bob that I was gifted. So yeah, I think he's probably one of my favourite characters, but there's so many there. So, favourite memory about Spyro's Adventure, I think it's just that kind of excitement of being kind of on the inside as a journalist of this game being made, going out to see these launches, getting videos up. I remember I was out in New York for Toy Fair, for Skylanders Giants, put a video up, kind of went back to the hotel, and then checked YouTube and was just amazed by how many views I had. I was just starting out with the channel. I really, hadn't planned for it to have that focus, and really hadn't seen more than, 100 views per video. So that was kind of, a really exciting moment that kind of got my attention, really started me off in YouTube sort of properly. Some other things I wanted to just sort of pop up that I've still got around is this Skylanders Easter egg that's got Zook in it. That was kind of like a promotional item that I've never really opened. There's that. I've got Boomer here, silver. One of those limited edition. I think that was one of those treasure hunt boomers. And then I've also got Dunebug here, which was one of the ones that they gave out at Toy Fair. So some little collectibles, and I still have them. I still sort of keep them to one side, and I'm still hunting actually Skylanders Imaginators on the Switch so that I can sort of play again. I'd like to revisit it. So I hope that's useful, and it's great to sort of reconnect with the Skylanders world. It's such a special kind of point in my history, both as a journalist and as a content creator. And so I really want to say a big thank you for Toys for Bob, for creating the game, for hosting me when I came over, and of course Vicarious Visions and Beanox as well, and the kind of the wider team and Activision PR. They always treated me really well, and I enjoyed my time investigating what was new and kind of speculating on what was coming next for Skylanders. So nice to see you all again, and I'll say goodbye. See you later.
What's up, gamers? GF Ditto here to celebrate Skylanders' 10th anniversary with you. How I was introduced to Spyro's Adventure was actually pretty simple. I noticed a new Spyro title in the pre-order list at GameStop, and I asked about it. I was told it was a platformer that used toys as kind of its main thing, and decided at that point in time that it was a money pit, and I just didn't buy it. Then I eventually picked it up. I did go back and pick it up after having played the later games in the series, Trap Team, Superchargers, and Imaginators. I then later went back to play the first 3 games, including Spyro's Adventure. My favorite Skylander from Spyro's Adventure is Sunburn, hands down, no contest, as his design was the coolest of the original characters by far, and I really enjoyed his playstyle. Gotta love the Phoenix Genie. My favorite memory in Spyro's Adventure is when I first reached 100% completion in the game and was able to look back on all the fun adventures I had had in the main story, as well as with the heroic challenges and in the arena. And then finally, I want to give a huge thank you to the developers at Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for 10 years of irreplaceable memories.
Hello everyone, Inclander here. I'm a Twitch affiliate live streamer and Spotify podcaster, and a lot of my content revolves around Skylanders, so I'm really happy to be here to help celebrate the 10th anniversary of the franchise. So, I was actually introduced to Skylanders Spyro's Adventure pretty late into the game. I actually started the series with Giants in 2012, and while I'd been collecting some of the Series 1 figures, it wasn't really a big priority of mine. It wasn't until 2015 for Skylanders Superchargers that they announced that the Darkness was coming back that I decided that it was time to go back and play the first game and see what it was really all about. So one of my favorite memories with Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was going to my retro game store, picking up a copy of the game, the original Portal and Series 1 Spyro, and just taking one weekend over the summer to play through the entirety of the game with only Series 1 Spyro. Of course, now I've gone back and played through all the Elemental Gates and gotten to play with a lot more of the Series 1 characters, Camo being a personal favorite of mine. I just love his design and moveset, and I think it really just goes to show the amount of creativity that's involved in creating these games with the amazing roster of characters that they have. So I just really want to give a special thank you to the teams at Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for coming up with this amazing franchise, and is something that has a lot of wonderful memories attached to it for me, and I know that it's going to be something that lives on in the hearts and minds of people for many years to come.
Hey guys, Pokey, and today I would like to list my favorite characters and my favorite memories from Spyro's Adventure. Slam Bam! This guy is the definition of a powerhouse. When I originally faced Chaos, I thought, oh, I'll just bring in Slam Bam to chip him down and let Terrafin finish him off. But nope, he just went, fine, I'll do it myself, and just decimated chaos.
Zook!
At first I liked Zook ironically due to the Shrook meme, but when I switched to the Cactus Path, I unironically really like Zook now. His Cactus Path just improves him so much. If you are on the other path, just switch now, please.
Flame Slinger!
Flame Slinger was the Skylander that impressed me as a kid, but when I got back into the series, he's one of my favorites from the original game. With his great movesets, such as his moves like the Supernova and the Volley Shots, he is one formidable Skylander.
Hammer!
First of all, Camera has a great vivid design. EA did an exceptional job on it. Second of all, Camera has an exceptional moveset, with his melons being the main highlights, doing plenty of damage. He gets even better with his Series 2 WoW power, which makes his melons and vines produce melons that split into mini melons. Overall, Camera is one of my favorite Skylanders from the original game, and in my top 20 overall.
Terrafin!
From the start of Skylanders, Terrafin's design caught my attention. Luckily, his moveset backed it up with his incredible punching and burrowing abilities. Even as the games came out and a few Skylanders came close to taking his spot as my favorites, he stood sturdy. Terrafin has always been my favorite and always will be.
Go Racing Spell Pultimaster says, I am Crash Rouser, and it's once again time to crash the Skylanders with the 10-year anniversary of Spyro's Adventure. It's been 10 years. I was only 20 when this series came out. Man, I'm old now. As the oldest Skytuber, and the most handsome, in that order, oldest and handsome, I have been asked very politely by my good friend Portal Master and his other friends to give you something about Spyro's Adventure. It's only a 3-minute clip, so I can't ramble on like I normally do. I'll do that in Nazi Half Hour. You can go check that one out on my channel. Ooh! Ouch, random promotion. Regardless, Spyro's Adventure came out 10 years ago. Pretty wild that it's been 10 years since playing it. And I've been asked to give some of my favorite things about it. So, the number one thing, how did I get into Spyro's Adventure? The first word, Spyro. For you guys who may not know, the number one reason I even tried Skylanders in the first place was because Spyro was in the game. I am a huge Spyro fan. I've always been a huge Spyro fan. Spyro Year of the Dragon is literally my favorite game of all time. I play Spyro at least 7 times a year. That's not even an exaggeration. I play all 3 games usually in order. I'll play it on my original PlayStation. I'll play it on the PlayStation 3, the 4, the Reunited Trilogy, or my Switch. I will play it all the time. It's fantastic. So the reason I even picked up the game in the first place was because of Spyro. So, yeah, congrats, buddy. I did think Spyro was weird when I first seen it, but I can tell you for a fact that I grew into him. He's actually one of my favorite Spyros now, for sure. But yeah, Spyro's Adventure was literally the reason I got into it. And next up, who's my favorite Skylander? I don't know. Maybe the one who I literally worship, who I had a shrine for in my old house, made a video of my top 5 favorite versions, then did a April Fool's Day video ranking that one Skylander from best to worst. Literally, my baby boy, the man, the perfection, my boy! It's Bash. He's right there. It's Bash. I love Bash. He's fast. He's furious. He's not Paul Walker. Yeah, he's not. I know, it scared me too. But like, Bash, fantastic. I keep looking at myself by accident to make sure I'm not in Bash's way. That's what it goes. If you ever see me looking like this, it's because I'm making sure I'm keeping Bash in the frame at all times. I have to, he's my boy. Spyro's there too. But regardless, Bash is my boy, Bash is my baby boy, Bash is my son, Bash is my boy. I don't know what he is. He's perfect. He really is. So now my favorite memory of Skylanders. Well, it was how I accidentally started collecting all the figurines by accident. So my first time playing through, of course I didn't know much about the game, most like everybody who played it. I just got my regular starter kit, which was Spyro, Trigger, and Gil. I got to Chaos's boss battle and got annihilated. And I said, I guess I'm going to have to buy a couple more figures to make this a little more easier on me, right? Which is funny how I can just, beat the entire Chaos. Or beat the entire game, technically, with just one Skylander now. Gil, looking at you, kiddo. Another playlist on my channel. Wow, another promotion for me. Regardless, Gil and Spyro and Trigger, they literally started my addiction of collecting Skylanders. They were literally the reason I started collecting, because I couldn't beat the game with them. So I went and bought Drobot first of all, then Zook and Bash, and the rest is, well, history. I accidentally started collecting because of them, because I couldn't beat the game. Ironic now, hey? Still can't beat the game, let's be honest here. But I do need to give a big thanks to the creators of Skylanders Toys for Bob, Vicarious Vision, and of course your boys Beanox, who help out. And I'm probably the only person who's going to say this, Activision, thank you for releasing the game or publishing the game. A lot of people's not probably going to give you a shout out. I mean, you're not the greatest company, but I still appreciate you. You gave us Skylanders. Literally, you published it. So I thank Toys for Bob, I thank Vicarious Visions, I thank Beanox, and I thank Activision for everything you guys have done for Skylanders. And I'm very excited to keep your legacy going as long as I can until I basically have a heart attack when I'm like 40 years old. Yeah. But as always, I bid you farewell.
Hey there, I'm Minty, and it is Skylanders 10th anniversary. Wow, long time. I got into SSA because I was just looking up game trailers on YouTube, I guess. I asked my dad, hey, could I have SSA for Christmas? He bought it, and boy, what a day. What a day that was. I think my favorite Skylanders would probably be Boomer, Ghost Roaster, and Warnado, because I remember Boomer I always wanted, Warnado I liked a lot, and Ghost Roaster just very powerful. I think my favorite memory with SSA would probably be just playing battle mode with my brother. I used to play as Ghost Roaster a lot in battle mode, and my brother would get completely annihilated by him, so that was always fun. So, Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, and all the other companies that made Skylanders great, thank you for 10 years of Skylanders. Just, I love this game series to bits, so thank you.
Hello, single person watching. My name is Scripe, and I guess technically there's more than one of you, because this is someone else's channel. But I guess I'll start by saying thank you for inviting me to this collaboration. It means a lot. And I'm also gonna move on from the sappy stuff, because I have a very short amount of time. So let's get going. I remember I was first introduced to Skylanders one day after school, when my friend Sam took me to her house to hang out. She was the one that introduced me to a game franchise that would change my life forever. She regrets it to this day, actually. I remember sitting down, game controllers in hand. It was the version on the PS3 or PS4, I don't remember which, I believe. So it was something I was completely unfamiliar with, because I had always been a Wii gamer. And I remember sitting down on the couch in the basement, secluded away from everything else, all the Skylanders laid out in front of us, the portal smack dab in the center, looking up at the TV they had, and watching the opening cutscene. To this day, that's one of my most vivid memories when it comes to Skylanders. At least the first game. And it was actually through that opening cutscene that I was introduced to my favorite character. Though if we're talking specifically Skylanders, it would have to be a toss-up between a Stealth Elf, Hex, and also possibly Wrecking Ball. But if we're talking characters in general, we all know I have a soft spot for Chaos. I just wanted to give a huge thanks to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, I actually said it right this year, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for creating the most influential gaming franchise, in my opinion. Here's to 10 amazing years.
Hey everyone, it's Chucky here at Kimbo. How I got introduced, and oh my gosh, it's the Skylanders 10th anniversary, that's crazy. But a friend from school was really checking out the latest hot holiday games that was happening, and I really felt drawn to Skylanders because it was a Toys to Life game, and it's crazy. And how there was a community starting up for it, and I really wanted to like make some videos at the time as well, so it really just kind of fit in together. Seeing the vibrant toys and stuff like that, I mean, I love to collect toys. Like, there was not a month that went by that I was really collecting anything. like it. I have a strong connection to Lightning Rod and Kimbo, obviously from Spyro's Adventure. Obviously Kimbo, you all know, it's my channel name. What's better than a watermelon dragon? Back then, creating my YouTube channel, like, it's so crazy how far we've grown, but my favorite memory is that and just seeing the vibrant characters and putting the characters on the portal. It's like, how did they do that technology? Like, how did it show up on my screen? What is going on in the vibrant characters? Like, it's just, it all made sense at the time. And also at the time, it all fit, it all made sense starting a YouTube channel. As a kid, like, that was my dream. Like, that was something I've always wanted to do, is kind of have something to reflect on. Thank you so much to Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, and Beanox for making such an awesome franchise game, and it meant a lot to a lot of the fans, and shaped really our childhood and in a positive way. And now it's going to, you know, now a lot of people, new people, are getting into it and gonna love it so much. Forever and always, Skylanders means so much to us.
Hello everyone, my name is Bumbleblosser, and today is the 10th anniversary of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. And why not speak about it and how I got into Skylanders. So, how I got into Skylanders is a pretty simple story. One day, I was like 5 years old, and my older brother had an Xbox 360 and bought Spyro's Adventure. When Giants came out, of course, and I played it for a couple hours, and I absolutely loved it. I loved that you have a plastic figure and placing it on a plastic electronic portal thing, and it pops up on screen, which to this day it's so amazing. But yeah, my favorite characters of Spyro's Adventure, of course, probably Whamshell and Zap, because for Zap there's a little speedrunning glitch you can do where you like you go into like a water thing and you like hop up, and then you rotate your joystick and you literally fly up into the sky, and it's funny and it's helpful for speedrunning as well. And for Whamshell, I just don't know, I just have so much fun playing as him, and he's probably one of my rarest SSA figures as well. That's probably why as well. But yeah, my favorite moment of playing SSA is definitely the first and second level. Those levels are incredible. I to this day, of course, I still play those levels constantly because I do speedrun quite a bit nowadays, and I just have so much fun playing those two levels. Of course, I like to play other levels, but those levels are just so iconic. Now, thanks Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions and Beanox for letting us have an incredible childhood, and hopefully we see more of it soon, hopefully. Now, thanks for listening to my segment, and peace out.
Woo, yay! Well, hey there, everyone. Paper Jap here. I'm here with Cy, the banana guy. You're looking a little ripe there, Cy. And I'm filling in for Jap28. Supposedly, he's under the weather. But 10 years Skylanders. Wow. And as the story goes, Jap28 has always been a big collector ever since I've known him. And at that time of his life, he was collecting everything Xbox 360. Yeah, he had the dance pad, the guitars, the steering wheel, you name it, he had it. And one day, he was at his local Best Buy and he saw Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure. So he took a chance and bought that game. and I think he fell in love instantly. Wow, the whole game was amazing. The collecting aspect. Don't even get me started on his stupid flame slinger. He loved that guy. Oh man, but I think the favorite moment is that moment you put a character on the portal. It was something magical. Oh man, I can't believe it's been 10 years. So thank you, Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, Come to Us, any of you who's had a hand in the portal pool. Thanks so much for a great 10 years. All right, I'm done here. And what am I getting paid for this, Charlie? I'm not getting paid. Oh,
Hello, I'm Sharkama04. I'm eating dinner right now. I've got chicken burgers and chips. And happy Skylanders 10th. It's kind of nuts. 10 years. That's weird to think about. That's really weird. But I was invited by big old Seb man. Seb to have a little bit here. So here I am, eating dinner, doing that. So start things off. Favorite Skylanders, Bash and Ghost Roaster. Love those two. Bash, if there are enemies with high health, Lava Kings or Shadow Dukes or something. Players Bash, gone. Instantly. Goodbye. Ghost Roaster is just chaotic and crazy in every single right way. And I love playing as him. The way how I got introduced into the whole thing, this whole Skylander stuff, is I literally just saw adverts on the TV, or commercials if you're American. I saw commercials for Skylanders Spyro's Adventure and basically just went, Mom, I want that one! And so, Christmas of the same year, Spyro's Adventure came along. Funny story, when I got it, my Wii Remote's nunchuck plug wasn't working. So I had to get a new Wii Remote to play it. And then if I had to say a favourite memory with the game, there's a few good ones, but I'd say getting Bash was definitely my favourite one. I like to recount the story. So I've literally just had the starter pack, right? Spyro Gill. I get to Creepy Citadel, and there's a place, you know, like near the end of the level, and there's like that hallway just before the Chaos fight, and there's like the Shadow Dukes and Bone and Arrows. I get there, and they wipe me out. Right. Spyro Gill gone, and I'm sat there in defeat. I'm thinking, I don't want to restart the level. I don't want to do that. But then, as fate would have it, Mum calls me downstairs. A parcel had just arrived, a package. Inside was Bash. My main man Bash. Let me get him. There. I beat all the Shadow Dukes stuff in the hallway. I'm going in the Chaos fight. Beat the whole thing. And I just got him. Level 1 with nothing. And I go through the Chaos fight, the undead Chaos fight, and just wipe the floor. So yeah. Big hugs to Toys for Bob and Activision and Beanox and Vicarious Visions. All those guys. For giving us the Skylanders and giving me Bash, giving me Ghost Roaster, inspiring me, inspiring other people, and just giving us something we can really enjoy.
Hello guys, I'm your average photo master, also known as Yap, and yeah, this is the 10-year anniversary for Skylanders. It's coming up, so I'm just going to be saying how I was introduced to Spyro's Adventures. Well, it was actually the last game I got. I own all the games. I own all the Skylander games, so it was the last game I got. The first game I got was Swap Force, and Swap Force was actually given to me by my cousin on my birthday. I had the 3 starter pack characters, and Legendary Zulu had that for a year. Those 4 characters for a year. And then I got Roller Brawl and Countdown, and then that sparked me really starting to enjoy and liking Skylanders. Okay, so my favorite character from SSA, since it was an extremely important game to the franchise, it sparked the franchise and all that, is actually Whirlwind. I love Whirlwind. If anyone does know in the community, I love Whirlwind. She has the best moveset in my opinion. Not really the best moveset, but a great moveset, I would say. Really fun character, and I really do like Whirlwind. So yeah, it's essentially it. So actually, I only beat Spyro's Adventures only 3 times, because it was the last game I got, so I didn't play it all the time. But I do have some clips, some clip-worthy stuff. I remember first time I was playing it. I didn't even create my channel yet. That there was a glitch where there was 2 evil sunburns. It's pretty fucking cool, I would say. So to end off this little clip, I would like to say thank you, Toys for Bob and Vicious Visionaries, for creating SSA, because you guys sparked so many new things for Skylanders, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hey, what is up everybody? It is Portal Master Evan here, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Skylanders Spyro's Adventures 10th anniversary. That's insane to think that this game is 10 years old already. It's hit double digits. That's kind of crazy. I feel old. That makes me feel really old. But no, I'm here to talk about a little bit of some of my favorite things from this game. I'd say I can't really remember the first time what got me into the game, what introduced me. I have a feeling way back when I first saw it, it had to have been some ad or some commercial or something that has shown up on YouTube or TV or something like that, and it got me really engaged to want to get this game and play this game, and that just kind of stuck, and as you can tell, that kind of turned into something I never would have thought it would. I think my favorite characters definitely from Spyro's Adventure have to go to, it's definitely got to be Drobot, Dino-Rang, Zap in terms of original new characters, and then Spyro just because I love flying around and spitting out fire at enemies. But the other guys were my favorites at the time. I thought Bash was going to be one of my favorites, but he kind of weaned off after the first time I played with him. What is my most memorable memory from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure? I think it would have to be that Christmas of 2011, waking up that Christmas morning, running downstairs to open my presents and open the Skylanders Mega Pack, I think it was called. That big box that came with the starter pack, it came with an adventure pack, and then I think it came with a 3-pack as well. Like, it came with a lot of characters. It was like a big starter set, and then they ended up doing that later down the line for years to come as well. But I think that was definitely probably the earliest and most prominent memory I have of Spyro's Adventure, and the one that's stuck with me since, because it's such a memorable one, because I remember opening them all up, getting really excited, and then playing the rest of the night, and just being a giddy little kid playing this brand new game that I never would have thought would take me on an adventure that I never thought I'd be here doing this, you know. It's kind of crazy, but this game has given me a lot. This game and this community has given me a lot over these past 10 years, and I can't really ask for anything more, honestly, because I would not be where I am and who I am today if it wasn't for this game. And I just want to wish Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, or just Skylanders franchise in a whole, a very happy 10th anniversary. I hope you guys are enjoying as well. And I'll see ya.
10 whole years. It's amazing to think that it's been a whole decade since Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. It was a display of the figures in the supermarket that first intrigued me. The diverse character designs of the heroes really made them stand out. It was a Raptor specifically that spoke to me. Later that day, researching the game really cemented the facts that I wanted to play this game. Seeing a Raptor on a portal for the very first time was such a standout memory for me. Seeing that character reflected in the game world was just mind-blowing. The puzzle-solving, action-heavy nature of the level design really set it apart. Fun-sized characters, a beautifully rich world, and a delightful story really made me fall in love with this franchise. That, paired with the high-quality, incredible figures, gave us something we really hadn't seen before, at least to this level of polish. And of course, this would only be the beginning of the franchise. Sequels will go on to great success. So thank you, Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, and everyone who had a hand in bringing toys to life.
Hi, it's Alec Winmore, and on my channel I'm very outspoken on how Spyro's Adventure is my favorite game, and if you're watching this, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure is now 10 years old. So I was introduced to Spyro's Adventure from my friend up in Canada. I remember in October 2012, so about a year after it came out. By the time Giants came out, he had a big box of Skylanders. Actually, I think he had every Spyro's Adventure character, like main line, in a box, and I pointed them out because it was kind of interesting, and he immediately plugged in the game. And I remember my first character I ever played as was Voodoo, and I thought it was so cool that I could like have a toy and play as it in a game, a very well-made game. So I asked for it for Christmas, and in Christmas 2012 I now own Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, along with a 3-pack of Bash, Chop Chop, and Eruptor, of course, with the big 3 Spyro, Trigger and Gilgrunt. And speaking of Gilgrunt, I'm also outspoken on my high regards for the King Gilman himself, Gilgrunt. So he's definitely my favorite character, and is honestly one of the most memorable parts of Spyro's Adventure for me, just because of the fact that he like really intrigued me back in the day, is I guess the right word. It was just something it was just a character I really enjoyed, and one of the few I played as a lot. My favorite Spyro's Adventure memory was actually this year, so fairly recently, because I don't have a great memory, so I can't remember too much from back when I played it a ton, because I took a break from 2017 to 2020. So earlier this year, I finally 100%ed Spyro's Adventure after 9.5 years. That was just one of the best feelings for me. It gave me intense chills and just made me feel great. So that was something I really enjoyed, and just my favorite memory of Spyro's Adventure. And also, one more thing, I completed the Spyro's Adventure collection a few weeks ago, so that was also interesting. And I just like to give a big thank you to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, every single person who worked on Skylanders individually, for creating my favorite of all time game series, and for helping me start a YouTube channel to spread my own interest. And you guys are the best.
Alright folks, how's it going? W Drums here in the flesh. God, I'm rusty with this. So I was contacted to do this interview, so here we go, and enjoy, and thank you for having me as well. So first question, how are you introduced to Skylanders? Great question. So I saw a commercial on TV when I was in college, and it was a really cool idea. I remember seeing Spyro, and I was like, oh my god, I have to do this, this looks amazing, they're toys, they come to life, they memorize all the powers. That was genius. So I hit my aunt up, who every year would spoil me and my brother on Christmas, and so she told me, just get whatever ones you want, and she will pay my parents back. So we did just that. We bought out all the stuff from Walmart, from Black Friday stuff from Walmart, to Target, to Kmart, back when Kmart existed. And so that was that. I got all the figures, fell in love with the game on Christmas, and the rest is history. So, amazing memory of my life. Favorite Skylanders. So we've got Sonic Boom, alright? So I loved her Medea Griffin path with the babies, and just going crazy with sending out her eggs and flying everywhere and chinning her echolocation like wind attacks with the little babies. They became huge on that path, and you got 4 of them, I believe. and she just became insanely powerful and versatile as opposed to just doing one wave of energy, so it was really awesome. Prison Break, loved his crystal-based attacks. I mean, dude's just a powerhouse. Made him really creative and unique to play. You know, he had a lot of interesting kind of concepts. The Crystal Ear Path is OP as heck in PvP and PvE. He summons the groups of 3 crystals. You can go over walls and kill people in PvP. It was ridiculously broken. And you reflect all your enemies. It was ridiculous. Slam Bam or Ghost Roaster easily. So I couldn't decide because Slam Bam, he's my first guy I ever reviewed. He's an Ice Yeti, for goodness sakes, you know. I mean, I got a Soul Gem. He's snowboarding on ice. That was so cool. Very strong, very spiky looking, kind of bionicle looking guy. Then you got Ghost Roaster because he was really fast, could go invisible, and just really strong in PvP. The dude was overpowered. Dynarang is also another honorable mention because of his wacky designs. Favorite memory would be making my Slam Bam Path Guide, because that's the thing that blew everything up. Where Activision found me, I got invited to E3, and made some amazing friends, and was able to share my passion with audiences all around. So I thank you so much for having me. Thank you Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for bringing our favorite series of 10 years ago to life. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Peace!
What up, Sky Fam? It's your boy, Sheriff. And the first time I was introduced to Skylanders Spyro's Adventure was at E3 2011. Well, I wasn't actually there, but I was watching the live streams. I remember thinking to myself, wow, this is gonna make a lot of money. And it did. But really, I didn't get into Skylanders until January of this year. I bought a large lot of figures and games and immediately became hooked. My favorite memory of Spyro's Adventure is doing my Let's Play series for Spyro's Adventure on the Wii U, because it's the first time I really explored the game and the characters. Spyro's Adventure is a really great action-adventure dungeon crawler with over 30 playable characters that are upgradable. Speaking of characters, I really love all of the designs and uniqueness that each character offers, but if I had to choose one, it would be Spyro. When I was a kid, we had an original PlayStation, and Spyro was one of my favorite games. Also, there's 3 versions of Spyro for SSA, so that's pretty cool too. Thank you Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, Beanox, and staff for all the love and work you put into the Skylanders games. I also want to give a special thanks to the producers Yale Miller and Elizabeth Wang, as well as the designers Ai Wei Huang and Tom Hester, and also the writers Alex Sokolov, Joel Cohen, and Marianne Krozik. Without you guys, Skylanders wouldn't be the same. One more time, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Skybreaks Gaming 83, aka Gabe, and as everyone else in this video is, I'm here to talk to you about Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. I was first introduced to the game in January of 2012 when my friend got it for his birthday. We all got around to playing it. When it came my turn, I chose Terrafin, and I got to play him for a bit on Stormy Stronghold. And even from that beginning second, I knew that I loved this game and that it was so fun. I had such a good time playing it, and I got it later that year in August. My favorite character, as all of you who know me will know, is Chop Chop. He's just a really cool character. I like skeletons, I like armor, I like robots. Those are the 3 things that you can impress me with, and he is kind of all of them. So like, yeah. Another few honorable mentions would probably be Igniter, that's the other side, Igniter, Stealth Elf, and Gilgrunt up there. You can see them. My favorite memory with Spyro's Adventure is, honestly, I don't know. There's so many to choose from just random having fun with my dad, to meeting all of you guys, to all of the experiences in between. There are just so many things I could talk about with this series, and even just Spyro's Adventure specifically with that game, since it's 10 years old now, there's so many things I could say that I honestly can't just choose one memory to talk about here. There's just so many, and I'm really glad that this is that hard for me, because that means that I've thoroughly enjoyed something to the point where every memory is the best memory. All of the memories I've had with this game are the best thing that could have happened to me, and I'm so glad I could have all of you to experience it. Finally, to keep going with the thank yous, I'd like to thank Toys for Bob and Vicarious Visions and Beanox and just everybody at those specific parts of the development that thank you for making a game like this one. A game that so many of us, while not the biggest community in the world, so many of us can enjoy and just be excited to play all of the time. Thank you.
How were you first introduced to Skylanders? I don't remember exactly how I was introduced. I think it was a IGN video or a CoinOp TV video. Like some video or some website or something, I saw a video of it and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. I need that. And my dad ended up buying the first game for me and a couple Skylanders. And I remember when I was getting Skylanders, Amazon was pretty new. Like they still had the, I think it was like $20 free shipping, which they don't have anymore. But yeah, I bought so many Skylanders because they were like, I think it was like $20 for the 3-pack. So I got a lot of Skylanders from Amazon. But anyway, I'll go into your next question. Your favorite characters, definitely Drobot. A lot of my, also I kind of said that like Drobot, but yeah, a lot of my subscribers know I love Drobot. He's my boy. I don't know who, like, I just like playing as all of them. I like playing as so many different Skylanders. That's why I like the game, is it's always fresh, because you can always try a new character and, you know, do new things with it. But Drobot is the stand-up for me. Alright, my favorite memory associated with Skylanders? Well, definitely my YouTube channel and how that blew up. And I got to play Skylanders live for everyone. So that's just really fun. And the other memory is just introducing my friends to it. Just seeing their faces light up and playing, spending countless hours playing with them was very cherished memories of mine, and I really wish we could do that again. But you know, some people grow up and they don't like to play kind of games like that anymore, unfortunately. And yeah, to finish it up, yeah, so thank you Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for, you know, bringing this series to life. We really appreciate it, and I'm happy to play these games for so many years and just cherish them and collect them and have fun with them.
Hi, my name is Michael, but you probably know me better as Mike Nacharge, and I have been a fan of Skylanders since the very start. I first found out about the game through a YouTube ad, where they played that very first trailer, and I watched the whole ad without skipping it. I thought it was pretty cool, but I wasn't sold on it yet. It wasn't until I went to Target one day and I saw Drobot just sitting there on the shelf, and I loved him. He was a dragon mixed with robotics, and I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. I wanted to get the figure before even having the game. That's how much I love this guy. And he's still my favorite across all 6 games. And the fact that he's super powerful in the game definitely factors into that decision too. My other favorites would probably be Wrecking Ball, because there was a lot of hype for him before he came out, and he's just super cute and cool. Zap, because he was really hard to find in the beginning, and he's an electric eel dragon that's super cool. And Tornado, because he had that giant tornado on his base, and it was unlike any of the other 31 Skylanders out. I have a ton of good memories from the game, but I think my favorites are probably 1, the day I got Legendary Trigger Happy. I remember going to the store the very day he came out. I believe it was March 29th. I'm like 99% sure. And I remember putting him in the game like right when I got home and thinking, wow, I'm one of the first people to ever play as this character. And it was just a really great feeling, especially when he was like the last character to come out. Another one that's probably my favorite overall is when my grandfather would go food shopping at Pathmark right in town, and right next door was a Kmart, and nobody knew that Kmart had Skylanders. It was like a super secret thing because they never advertised it, nothing. One time, he checked for me and he had a whole list of all the ones that I needed. And he surprised me with a triple pack of Whirlwind, Double Trouble, and Drill Sergeant, which I was super excited about because those were some of the coolest looking characters that I didn't even know were out at the time. And it just goes to show how much he like really cared and paid attention, so it's a very nice memory for me. But I think the whole year of the game being out was super fun because all of my friends got the game. We all played it at each other's houses, we all talked about it at lunch, and it was just a really nice year to have. So I'm very glad that I was there from the start, and I had no idea how much it would take over the next 6 years of my life.
Hello everyone, my name is Coming Clean and I have a YouTube channel called Coming Clean Gaming. I am very happy to be part of this huge collaboration anniversary video for Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. I am here to talk about how I got introduced to the game, which my favorite characters are, and what my favorite memory of the game is. Let's get right into it. When Spyro's Adventure was released, I worked at a video game retailer. I was 26 at the time, and I remember when my store manager called us for a meeting to show off Activision Blizzard's new cornerstone next to World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. I remember so clearly when he showed a video of a small toy figure being put on a portal and coming to life in the actual game. I so wanted to pick up the game, but I didn't for various reasons. First of all, I was back then already 15 to 20 years older than the target audience, and I didn't think I would enjoy the game that much. I was obviously wrong. I did eventually start my Toys to Life collection, and about 10 years after release, earlier this year, I finally got into the Skylanders franchise and started featuring Skylanders content on my channel, doing my own biologist take on the games among other things. Of course, I started off with Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, and among all the awesome characters, a few stood out to me a bit. Among them were Spyro and Camo. I'm usually never drawn to the poster boys and girls of games, but Spyro is just too much fun to play as. His flight ability is such a great component in his moveset, and I really love the fact that you are encouraged to never stop moving when you play him. Camo is more or less on the other end of the spectrum, as he has no movement enhancing abilities. He plays much more methodically, as positioning and spacing is very important to counter different blind spots in his attacks. The reward for mastering him is however a massive damage output. My best memory of Spyro's Adventure is also obviously from earlier this year, and it's basically just from when I popped the disc in my console for the first time. Just to see the colorful cast come to life, to see that the combat system was much deeper than I previously thought, and the realization that I had 6 games and hundreds of hours of game time in front of me. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions and Beanox for creating this awesome franchise. Also, thank you to Portal Master, Skylandebi, The Kingdom Wayfinder and Skylanders Eon for allowing me to be a part of this video. I wish everyone a happy Skylanders 10-year anniversary. My name is Coming Clean and I will see you next time. Take care.
Now I'll admit, even though Spyro's Adventure wasn't my first Skylanders game, that would be Giants, I primarily remember seeing commercials for it on television. I believe that's how I was first introduced to the game. I played Spyro's Adventure shortly after I finished Giants, so I kinda played the games a little bit out of order. But hey, better late than never. Now if I were to pick my favorite character from Spyro's Adventure, I'd say probably Stealth Elf is my most obvious pick. She's always been one of my favorites, like many others, although water Skylanders like Zep and Gilgrunt I found very useful, particularly in Spyro's Adventure, because they're the only ones who could swim in water, which is something that I don't think was ever implemented in later games. Now, even though I might not have as many fond memories of Spyro's Adventure as I do with most of the later games, but that's not to say that the game doesn't have its moments. I think some of my fondest memories of Spyro's Adventure, and almost every game, are usually the ones where I play with family or friends. After all, Skylanders is the kind of game that's more enjoyable when you have someone to play with, especially when you bring your Skylanders figures over to a friend's house and give them a chance to play with them for the first time. That kind of special feeling is pretty hard to replicate. Well, what can I say? Skylanders has left a great impact on my life, and it still holds a very special place in my heart to this day. And I have the people working at Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox to thank for bringing my all-time favorite series to life 10 years ago. I am forever indebted to you.
I think I got SSA, how a majority of people got it when they came out. In 2011, obviously, the Wii was the most popular games console that Skylanders was on, so I got it for the Wii, and I got it on Christmas of 2011. If you guys didn't know, all the characters were more cheaper then. So my parents got me the game, and they got me a couple characters, I think, to go along with it. And yeah, I mean, I instantly fell in love with the game. I was at my grandparents' house. They had a Wii, and I plugged it into the Wii and started playing it. And yeah, I mean, I fell in love with the game. Here I am 10 years later talking about it. That's how I got it. Got a couple figures to go along with it, and I've been playing the game ever since. My favorite character from SSA, at least, I've said this before many times, it's Boomer. He's my second favorite character overall, and I mean, I just love everything about him. He's a troll Skylander, so there's not a lot of those, so he's pretty interesting. His design, I love. He looks crazy, but I love crazy Skylanders. His dynamites do a lot, especially in SSA. His slam on the ground attack is really powerful. Even though it doesn't really fit in with the tech element, I still love it. And he can also just leave trails of bombs behind him. I find that hilarious. And I just love Boomer. I love how he's so weird and stuff like that. He's definitely my favorite Skylander from SSA, but a close second is Voodoo. I think Voodoo is also pretty cool. I think I've also said this one before many times as well. My favorite memory that has to do with SSA is very one that I hold close to my heart, and I really don't even know why. I really hold it close to my heart, but I remember I was playing Schooner Docks. I got to an elemental gate, and I did not have an undead character. If you guys don't know, there's an undead gate at Schooner Docks, so I asked my grandma, can we go get an undead Skylander? And we went around 12 a.m. to a Walmart to get an undead Skylander, and I chose Chop, which I'm very glad I did, because he's my favorite undead character from that game. I don't know why I hold that memory so close to my heart, but I do, and that's definitely my favorite memory that's associated with SSA. I'd love to give a big thanks to Toys for Bob, Beanox, Vicarious Visions, anyone who worked on the Skylander series at any time. This was my childhood for a good 6 years, and I'm still playing it even to this day. I've played the game since 2011. Just thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. I don't know where I'd be at right now. But thank you for shaping my childhood in a way. Thank you guys so much.
Hello fellow Portal Masters, it's Coyote Blue from Diginetics. I first heard about Skylanders through one of my lifelong friends. I had gone over his house and I believe I saw these figures sitting next to his Wii, and I got kind of interested, so I asked what they were, and it turns out they were called Skylanders. We played for about 30 minutes and I instantly fell in love with the game. A few weeks later, so in the future, my dad bought the game and he didn't tell me, so I was kind of surprised, and as you can imagine, I lost my mind. I actually came downstairs to see my brother playing it. I'm like, bro, you really opened it without me, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's my Skylanders origin story. Now, as far as my favorite characters, and guys, I'm totally not lying to you guys, my favorite characters from Skylanders Spyro's Adventure are the 3 starter pack characters. Might come as a bit of a shock, but it's true. These are really the only figures we had for a really long time, and then Giants came out, and you know, we got a few other figures like Series 2 Igniter, and we got Chill and stuff like that. My most fond memories of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure are probably the Chaos battles, the tree levels with the Spell Punks, and then in the Trolls and stuff like that. I love those levels in Spyro's Adventure, especially the Chaos battle in that tree level. And yeah, just the fact that everything was new and unexplored at the time, so very nostalgic for me. It was incredibly exciting. Alright, so that's my experience with Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. So yeah, happy 10th anniversary to the game. Before I head out, I just want to give a huge thanks to Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox for bringing our favorite toys to life. See what I did there? But yeah, guys, it's been your boy Coyote Blue from Diginetics, and I'm out.
Hey there guys, Portal Master here again. Now it's my turn to answer the questionnaire. So, how did I get into Skylanders Spyro's Adventure? Well, I've got to thank the Activision marketing team for that one. Every single advertisement that I saw back in 2011 after the game came out, leading up to Christmas, was absolutely amazing and really captivated me. And every single time one of those came on, I would go to my parents and I'd say, look at this! This looks so cool! And well, they got it for me for Christmas. And I think the obsession, the rest of that is just history. Now, who is my favorite Skylander from Spyro's Adventure? Well, that's another really easy one. That has to be Whamshell. And that's not just because he's an absolute powerhouse, an amazing design of a character, and just a blast to play with. It's because of how I found that Whamshell. I actually was just going into Kmart for something completely unrelated, or actually it was my parents that were like, we need to go to Kmart, or something along those lines. And they were like, you can look for Skylanders while you're there. And I was like, Kmart does not sell Skylanders. It's not listed as an official Skylanders retailer. And sure enough, there were 3 Whamshells along with a ton of other Skylanders there, and I had never seen a Whamshell. If you're an OG fan of Skylanders, you know just how hard Whamshell was to find back in those days. And I mean, I have never seen a single Whamshell out in the wild since that day. I bought all 3 of the Whamshells that were there, kept one for myself, and gave 2 of the other ones to people I knew who also played Skylanders that were looking for Whamshell. Now, the third part of the question, what is my overall favorite memory from the Skylanders Spyro's Adventure era? It's gotta come down to the hunting experience. I don't think that there has been another Skylanders game since Spyro's Adventure that really captivated the hunting experience for me. And I think a big part of this was the fact that, well, I didn't know that Skylanders were shipped out in waves. I didn't know how all the store exclusives worked. And as I got older and started looking up more of these things, it was kind of like, ooh, a hunt. Not just in the stores, but also on the internet, trying to learn more about these things, trying to learn when am I going to be able to find these Skylanders? When are they coming out? When can I go to these stores and harass the poor people stocking the shelves to see if they've got the newest Skylanders? You know, that is my favorite memory from this era because I don't think that any of the other games really capture that experience for me. So thank you guys. That is all I have for you right now, and I'll pass it on to the next Skytuber.
It's Skylander Saturday!
Hey, what's going on, Portal Masters? Robert Wapner here from CoinOp TV, OG Skylanders fan. Shout out to all you great Portal Masters out there. Just got some quick things I want to talk about in this video. So I was asked how I was first introduced to Skylanders Spyro's Adventure 10 years ago. It seems like a lifetime ago, and I'm bummed that we don't have these great Toys to Life games to keep us occupied. But the way I was introduced is I was a media guy. I was reviewing games, had a website, had a YouTube channel, had some other areas, and I had a relationship with Activision. And sometimes they would send promotional items to media people before E3 to kind of get them excited, you know, flash disc with some images or trailers. And for Skylanders, I was actually sent a Skylander prototype or whatever in the mail, and I think it was Gil Grunt. I don't have it anymore. I actually gave it to my friend. I wish I'd get it back and have it because I know this is kind of valuable. I don't think they actually work, but they had kind of the prototype packaging, and in the note it said, bring this figure to the Activision booth, and it had a booth number on there, and it'll come to life or something like that. I vaguely remember, and that was like the first thing. I was like, okay, I got it. When I go to E3 in a couple weeks, I've got to go to the Activision booth and find out what's going on here. And to my surprise, it was like going into the chocolate factory, seeing the toys to life, the figures, the awesome figures, the gameplay, the interaction with Portal of Power. And from there I was hooked, started making videos, and as the views kind of increased and subscribers, I just kind of went nuts making more and more videos over time. So that was my introduction of it, and you know, it was a nice kickoff, a nice treat, shall we say. Some of my favorite characters, and let's see, keep it down to 3. Let's see, exclusively characters from Spyro's Adventure. I'm reading off the questions I was sent to here. Well, let me just say my top 3. I can't really name my top 3 from the first game. My top 3 are Rattleshake, Pop Fizz, and Spyro. Of course, Spyro is OG. I mean, if we're just going with the first game, you know, the starter pack. I mean, Stealth Elf, Gil Grunt, Spyro. You know, those are 3. But I feel like I gotta throw out the you know, I'm gonna abort the just limiting to the first game, and I'm gonna go with Rattleshake, Pop Fizz, and Spyro for my top 3. My favorite memory, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Man, just finding out that there was like more things to do in the game. Like, you sort of solve the game, you get to the end, and then you get a new character, and you go back and you're unlocking new areas of the game. Certain characters can sort of do things that other characters couldn't, so you can even explore more. There was you know, the challenges and things like that, so it had a lot of replayability in those first few games. And just of course, you know, midnight launches at Toys R Us. That was always an experience, lining up outside of the cart and trying to grab, you know, 1 or 2 of each of the characters, fighting off all the other Portal Masters out there, you know, in those early days. So it was fun times. Happy 10th anniversary. Of course, a shout outs to Toys for Bob. I've met a lot of those guys and girls. Vicarious Visions, Beanox. Had the chance to interview and meet a lot of these people along the way, and very gracious of creating such a great brand and license. And we had a good run while it lasted, and who knows what will happen in the future. Thanks a bunch for CoinOp TV. We'll see ya.
Hey there guys, it's Portal Master for a third time. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Huge shout out to you guys. We have been so honored that you guys came and watched this video. We've worked very hard on this. A lot of Skytubers were involved. And honestly, again, we're just happy that you guys made it through. We want to send one more huge thank you, now that I'm done thanking the viewers for about 60 seconds right there, to everyone who helped make this video possible behind the scenes, the editing team, and the people who helped corral all the Skytubers together. And finally, I personally, as well as many of the other Skytubers here, want to extend a massive thank you and shout out to all of the people who made the Skylanders franchise possible. The artists, the developers, the writers, and anyone else who I could have possibly forgotten right there that worked at Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox, and Activision for years to make this franchise a possibility. Without those people, not only would this video not be possible and not being made, but neither would any of the Skylanders things ever. And Skylanders at this point is one of the most influential and amazing children's franchises that really ever existed. And to think that that wouldn't have been possible without the amazing development team at all three of those studios, plus Activision, is just kind of crazy to think about. I really hope that everyone enjoyed watching this video and taking a trip down memory lane. We hope you guys got to relate to what we said about our favorite Skylanders, about our favorite memories from Skylanders, and I hope that you guys can also relate maybe to how certain people got into Skylanders. I'm sure it's different for every single person. From the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of everyone else's heart that was a part of making this video, we just want to send an extremely huge thank you and shout out to, again, all of the people who made this franchise possible. We really enjoyed playing the games, we enjoyed, reminiscing on when we first played these games, and we hope that someday, maybe, just maybe, there will be new stuff for us to explore in the future. Seriously, if anyone is watching this, who's in charge of this, make another Skylanders game. I promise you, you won't be disappointed with how the community reacts to it. We would love to have another game. Seriously, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys if anyone from those development studios is watching this. I know a few of you did last year, and we were really honored for that. So again, huge shout out to you guys. That's all for this year. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out that Discord server that I plugged earlier in the video, and go check out all the other Skytubers that were featured in this video. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
That's about that. I will be enjoying this burger now.